You've seen a lot of turret presses here on Ultimate Reloader. This time we're going to take an in-depth and hands-on look at the RCBS Turret Press. Gavintoobe here from UltimateReloader.com. This is it, the RCBS Turret Press. We're going to get this press out of the box. We're going to get it mounted on an inline fabrication ultra mount. We're going to look at all the features. So let's waste no time and get this box open. So here it is. It's all out of the box. It's laid out very precisely OCD style. Let's talk about what we've got in the box. We've got the press assembly, the handle, the spent primer catcher. We've got a couple Allen keys, which is a nice touch. We've got the indexing handle, and then we've got a bunch of priming parts. We've got the primer slider assembly, the mounting screws, and then we've got the spring-loaded primer cup for both large and small. We've got the explosion shield, we've got 2 pickup tubes and 2 drop tubes. Oh, and don't forget the printed materials. So I'm going to read the instructions. I'm going to get my ultra mount out. We'll get this baby mounted. So setup is straightforward enough. I took my number 11 quick change top plate. This is for the inline fabrication ultra mount with quick change system. You could also get a static ultra mount. This is a great mounting option. You could also use 2 bolts to secure the press directly to the front side of the bench hanging over the edge. Totally up to you. I kind of like the fact that this press is elevated. I can see things really well ergonomically. That works for me. The turret was already installed. It's ready to index. You can use this indexing tool here on the top bolt to crack it and change the turret. Saw that in the instructions when I read them. So indexing feels good. The block for the priming slider bar mounts with 2 screws. Over here it was set up with the small primer cup, so I'm going to do some small primer priming. I had to adjust this bottom plate a little bit to get things correctly oriented left, right. I put in the appropriate small primer drop tube. The shield, I backed off on this nut a little bit, tightened the shield down, and then tightened the top. Now that drop tube is securely mounted in place. The primer catcher, the spent primer catcher over here, just drops into the 2 opposing holes. Looks like a symmetrical layout, so this can just be taken off very easily when needed. There's an ambidextrous mounting option for the handle, so I put it into the right-handed operation orientation. So now I'm ready to load up some primers, put in a shell holder, install some dies. We're going to try out this press. So I decided to do some 223 dummy rounds for demonstration purposes here. Normally, of course, we'd be charging with powder. Here we're going to size and deprime, we're going to reprime, and then we're going to seat some bullets to fundamentally try out this press. So what I've got here is an RCBS small base 223 sizer die, which I like to use for my ARs. And then I've got a standard RCBS 223 cedar die. All right, let's do some sizing, depriming, and then we're going to reprime here. We lift, see the primer slider pop away. Pull that to dispense another primer. Of course, this is my first time through this process, so it should become much smoother as I get my moves worked out, as it were. Coming down, pushing the primer slider into position. That feels pretty good, actually. Pull it each time. Yeah. Okay. All right. There we go. On to bullet seating. So our cases have been sized, deprimed, and reprimed. And if these were cartridges I was going to be using, I would check the sizer setup with a case gauge just to make sure that we were appropriately bumped on the shoulder everything is sized, and we know that it's going to chamber positively. I've got some Hornady 55 grain VMAX bullets here to use as a test setup. We're going to index. This is what I like about this primer catcher is it just pops on. So if we don't want it in the way, we can just quickly remove it. Okay, so we've got our cedar die indexed into position. We're just going to hold our bullet up, feed it in. Good to go. Now we would check with a bullet comparator or some calipers for our cartridge overall length to make sure that we are where we want to be. I like how open the front of this press is with this sort of central post that enables you to get kind of all around the cartridge, which is really nice. And number 5. So there you go, a basic overview and test drive of the RCBS Turret Press. This is a high quality piece of gear. It features cast iron construction. It's got the rear support arm for repeatability if you're doing things like precise bullet seating. And with 6 stations, you've got basically 3 different rifle setups if you've got the sizer and cedar die combo like you would typically have for a precision rifle scenario. I like the ambidextrous option for the handle. It's a nice compact package. It's got great accessibility from the front and toolless turret head changes. So with this RCBS press, you're going to be able to use regular shell holders from other turrets or single stage presses. There's a lot of flexibility here. You've got on-press priming, which I like to have as an option. I do like to prime on the press, especially for volume loading like I would be doing with 223. Here's what I'd like to know is if you have an RCBS turret press, how do you like it? What features are your favorite and what are you loading on it? Drop a comment and we'll start a discussion. That concludes this video, and that means it's time to wrap it up. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. Also, make your voice heard. If you have something to say, please drop a comment. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications because you're not going to want to miss the awesome content that is coming up. And finally, flex your reloading pride. You could look great in one of these t-shirts. We've got multiple designs at the Ultimate Reloader store. I'll see you later because I'm off to go shooting.